Good evening, everyone. And tonight we get to do the age-old question. Who the heck is taking Chelsea set pieces, and what the heck are we going to be doing in this Chelsea showdown? Let's go. This is the RotoWire Showdown Show. All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome to the RotoWire Showdown Soccer DFS show. My name is Jack Burkart. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so hope everyone's had a successful start to the new season so far. Yeah, it's great to be back, and it's great to be back grinding Premier League DFS. So, like I said earlier, we get to do one of our favorite tasks in the entire world. We have to decipher what the heck is going on with the Chelsea set piece situation. Chelsea always a frustrating team DFS wise. They don't really they rotate their set pieces a lot. There's new management, with Mauricio Pochettino. And just not a lot of clarity going on right now with who has what role. So we're going to have to tackle that. So the matchup in question, we have Chelsea. They're going to be at home, and they are hosting a lowly Luton Town. So Luton Town, really low budget promoted team, great plucky underdog, but they haven't been really able to invest much into their squad, and that's going to be reflected in the odds in this matchup. So Chelsea at home, they get a bump, but even then, 78.5% to win. You have over 50% clean sheet odds. You didn't really see that much at all last year, so that's quite low for Luton. And you have almost a 2.5 implied goal total, but Luton, their implied goal total is at 0.7. So not a very the bookies are not thinking very highly of Luton Town, and it really just has to be that they didn't get to improve their squad too much when they were down in the championship. But if you just look at current form, I mean, what is form, right? Chelsea have only played 2 games so far this season under Mauricio Pochettino, but you have a 1-1 draw to Liverpool, where Chelsea had some good spells, but they also had some frustrating spells where they didn't look quite so well. And then Chelsea are coming off of a road loss where they played quite poorly away to West Ham. West Ham beat them 3-1 after entering halftime with a 1-1 draw. So I don't know. West Ham are a much better team than Luton Town. It makes sense they could trouble them. I'm not saying that Luton Town is going to trouble Chelsea much, but Chelsea, there are some slight question marks on their team, and this is also going to be reflected in our starting 11s right here. So there's a lot of names on the injury list for Chelsea. So their captain Reece James, he's out. So he's not going to play. I believe I saw a blurb that Romeo Lavia, he's not going to be ready to play himself. There's some issue, he's not fit after transferring to the team. It was confirmed recently that Mikhailo Mudryk, he's not going to be able to play. That fortunately simplifies the set piece situation since he took some after subbing on in the last game against West Ham. But that's just they're out of attacking options. And Kunku is out for a few months still. Just lost Chukwuemeka. This is a team kind of running on fumes. So we're looking at their starting lineup. They're going to be doing their usual 3-4-3, we think. So, Diassi, Silva, Colwell, they're starting center backs for the first few matches. We have Chilwell at left wing back. And then we're looking at like a midfield 3. Maybe Gallagher's a little bit more forward. So we got Gallagher. Moises Caicedo should be making his first start. He subbed on in the last game against West Ham. And then Enzo Fernandez as well. Take a Malo Gusto. He's going to be playing right wing back. Probably continue to do that in lieu of Reece James, who's out. And then we'll look at a strike partnership of Nicholas Jackson, the new signing. He's still looking to get his goal, I believe, unless I'm completely mistaken. Did Nicholas Jackson? He didn't score the goal, right? Okay, he did not. Phew. All right. So Nicholas Jackson, he's going to be forming a strike partnership with Raheem Sterling. This is probably Chelsea's best lineup. I really don't think much could happen in the way of someone else starting. I mean, you just look through other possible names. Yeah, I'm pretty confident this is what it's going to look like. And then for Luton Town, you're going to see a very similar formation. They'll be playing with 3 center backs. The key names for Luton Town, you have Ryan Giles, who's a really active crosser of the ball. He took all of Luton Town's set pieces in their week 1 matchup against Brighton and Hove Albion, so he's going to be a very popular option. You have a midfield 3, but Marvelous and Kambia and Tahith Chong, they're more defensive midfielders, And Pelly Rudock right here, Mpazu, he's going to be the min price in this one. And he did get some touches near the box and he ripped 2 shots. He's near the min price. That's some name that you're going to want to keep in mind for tournaments. On the right wing back, we'll have Issa Kabore. He's not such an offensively inclined wing back. So one thing I like to do with the RotoWire cheat sheet, so 2-day free trial, rotowire.com/soccer trial, should be in the YouTube link. If I'm not so familiar with the player's game, so I didn't really know much about Issa Kabore, he spent some time in France, it looks like. You can always kind of just like look at per 90 statistics and see what the player's all about. So, in Liga 1, 2002, sorry if I massacred the French, actually a few crosses. So maybe I'm not giving him too much credit. You can look at his previous performances. Not a world beater by any means at right back, and it's not a very good matchup, but he's going to be a cheap price. And it's always helpful to take a look at these things, right? Like if you don't know who Malo Gusto is, I'll forgive you. I had to do this earlier before the show, but you can sort by his per 90 statistics and see how he did at Lyon. And, very active crosser of the ball. He didn't do so much in his showing against West Ham, but maybe he's someone promising we can look at, although he's quite expensive. Anyway, that's kind of the state of affairs. We have Chelsea, massive favorites. Nicholas Jackson, Raheem Sterling. If we look at the goal odds, they're both favored to score a goal, I guess minus money. So slightly over 50% with Nicholas Jackson slightly getting the nod. Um, Noteworthy just for goal scoring. I'm not sure who's on Chelsea's penalties anymore. Enzo Fernandez missed a penalty against West Ham. So maybe he takes one again, or maybe, Jackson or Sterling takes it. I mean, I've never known Sterling to be a penalty taker. That's completely up in the air. So I don't have a great guess at Chelsea penalties at this moment. But yeah, if we filter everyone out by Luton, the most likely Luton Town score is Carlton Morris. He scored a penalty against Brighton, but he's priced at 8,000 now. So 8,000 for the striker for a team who is 8% to win and 50% to not score a goal. That doesn't feel great. And then everyone else is a bit speculative from there. Last thing before we get into it, just taking a look at the set piece situation. So, like I said, Ryan Giles, he took every single set piece. Ryan Giles had 15 crosses in the first matchup against Brighton. So he seems like a really good play, even at 5,400. If he can get, half of that performance where he scored 15 DraftKings points. So that's definitely a name to keep an eye on. And then yeah, what a mess the Chelsea set pieces are. We had Noni Madueke take one very late in the game, but Chelsea were really chasing that game, so I'm not so sure if that's something that would be sticky. Enzo Fernandez took a bunch in the first game, so we're like, is Ben Chilwell not on set pieces anymore? But in the most recent matchup, it did appear to be some sort of split. So I looked at heat maps, and Enzo was taking left-sided corners, and Chilwell was taking right-sided corners. So it must have been in swingers for Chilwell. I believe he's left-footed. And then Mudryk came on and took some as well. My best guess for set pieces is that it could change, right? There's some uncertainty, but I would guess that Chilwell and Enzo are going to split sides. So, maybe Chilwell takes on the right again and Enzo takes on the left. Maybe they want to switch from doing in swingers to out swingers and they switch the sides. But my best guess for the situation is that it is a set piece split situation, and Chilwell and Enzo will take about an even split unless they all fall randomly to one side. Of course, disclaimer, Chilwell could take everything, Enzo could take everything. We just really don't know at this point. We don't have enough information under new management. Okay, so going down, let's take a look at what we have. So we have our player stats. So this table is still populating. A player doesn't enter here until they score 90 total points. 90 total. A player doesn't go there until they have 90 total minutes under their belt. So, oh, we have a comment. Jamie, yo, Jack, I think the title is messed up on this, but thanks for the content. Oh man, we have the right background, but did I hit the wrong show? Oh, looks like we're on the Saturday. All right, well, we'll fix that. Jamie, thanks for being in here. But if we're looking at the player stats, just remember a player doesn't show up here until they take 90 minutes, so you'll have to be you'll have to be clicking those names up on the sheet if you want to see more. Their floor stats are not going to show up. You don't want to extrapolate too much from the floor stats at this point. I guess we only have one game for Ryan Giles, so I don't think it's safe to say that his floor is 15 points for every game, for example. But it still can be a helpful tool just to see who's been doing what. but you might want to look at a player's previous history, and you might want to take more of a look at and you maybe want to take, yeah, basically you want to look at what they did last year if you want to get a better impression about what they usually do. But yeah, let's dig into it. Let's talk about cash games going forward to start off. So cash games are a little bit tricky for this slate, I think, because the Chelsea players are all quite expensive. So if I sort by salary, you have Sterling with a really steep price, 11,600. You have Ben Chilwell, he's at 10,800. Nick Jackson, he's just below 10,000. Everyone's very expensive. Malo Gusto, he's just under 9,000 for a wingback who doesn't take set pieces. That's very expensive. Enzo's quite a bargain at 8,200 splitting set pieces. From that point of view, Conor Gallagher hasn't done much, and he's quite expensive as well. Taking a look at the goalkeepers, Robert Sanchez, he's priced like the Chelsea are big favorite at 7,400. So one of the things I just tried to do is, well, let's just try to play the set piece takers and make things work. So one thing that you can do that seems pretty natural to me is, well, I will just click on Enzo Fernandez as a captain option, and then you'll take the other half of the set pieces with Ben Chilwell, captain Enzo, just because it saves you about 1,000 in extra salary, and salary's a little tight. I think you'll need that. Um, and then I think you're going to want to pick a goal scorer. So Nicholas Jackson, he's slightly bet favored to score a goal ahead of Sterling, and he's 2,000 cheaper. So, you can just click him. And then I like to play the goalkeeper in this situation. So 7,400 for Robert Sanchez. He's priced basically below every single Chelsea non-center back except for Moises Caicedo at 6,600. And Moises Caicedo isn't exactly a DFS friendly player. So I think Sanchez makes a lot of sense as a cash play. So that's 4 Chelsea players, and you're not left with a lot of salary. I tried plugging in Thiago Silva at 4,400. He's the cheapest Chelsea player that we're projecting to start, and that leaves me with 5,300 salary, which is just 100 short of Ryan Giles. So you're looking at a situation where it's like, oh, do I want a Chelsea center back and then maybe play, a Luton midfielder? Maybe Alfie Doughty starts on the other side instead of Kabore. You could play him. But I really don't think Thiago Silva is a must. You can feel like you're penciling in the clean sheet, but maybe he helps contribute a little bit towards a goal. There's just not much going there. It's fine for a center back, and I do think Ryan Giles, he could achieve 8 points pretty reliably, and I think Thiago Silva would do really, really well to achieve 8 points. So if you kind of start with these 4 in your lineup, you can't play another center. You can't play another center back. Oh, I see. Bears in the chat. He just anticipated where I'm going. So if I remove Thiago Silva so I can play Ryan Giles, I have 4,300 left. And then I scroll down, and there's 2 plays that stand out. You could play Issa Kabore, who's just going to be a wing back. Maybe you can accrue some, tackles won or something like this, get a few defensive peripherals, but you're also kind of at risk of more yellow card risk, more fouls committed risk. And I think Bear, so Steven in the chat, I think he nailed it. If you're looking at goalkeeper, you have Kaminsky. They just signed Tim Krul, but I think Kaminsky will start at 4,000. I don't think double goalkeeper is such a bad strategy if you kind of keep with this sort of lineup template. Luton, Chelsea could score a lot of goals, but Luton should be in a position where they might need to make a lot of saves. So that is somewhat of a volatile option. But yeah, just a quick impression of cash games. If you're going to captain Enzo, I feel like the next 3 spots, Chilwell, Jackson, Sanchez, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, maybe you could try to fit in Raheem Sterling, but that's 2,200 extra dollars. That's going to be really tough. So then you wouldn't be able to play Sanchez, who's probably one of the cheapest, best projected Chelsea players, even as goalkeeper. 50% clean sheet odds. I feel like I want to play all 4 of those guys. So, and then the main decision is that, am I going to play Ryan Giles or Thiago Silva? Do I want to take a maybe lower variance route and play Kabore with my last spot? Or do I want to play Kaminsky with my last spot? Who knows? It's going to be a little bit difficult. One thing that I was entertaining, maybe this is a good time to start thinking about some tournaments, is, okay, so, I click Ryan Giles. And he scored And as a captain, he's going to cost you 8,100. So he's a very cheap option to captain. And even in the match, I think Brighton had like 70% possession against Luton Town. Even in that case, Giles still achieved a really good floor. So I was wondering, well, what happens if I can put Ryan Giles in the captain spot and then play the best Chelsea plays? So, I can play Chilwell, I can play Jackson, I can play Enzo, I can even still play, right? I mean, Giles doesn't need a goal to make value in this sort of situation, so I'm not afraid to play Sanchez. You have a situation where you have 5,700 left. You could play Chelsea center back. You can do a lot of things with that sort of lineup template. So I think this sort of thing is cash viable. I mean, you end up playing someone like, Alfie Doughty if he starts for Luton. You would probably play someone like Axel Diassi at 5,600. He scored on his Chelsea debut in week 1, but you're kind of just like you're switching to a captain who takes set pieces on a mega underdog just so you can fit an extra Chelsea center back. Um, it kind of felt good at first, but I don't think that's necessarily a cash type move. But I do like that sort of thing in tournaments. When Chelsea players are going to be this expensive, I think lineups that find ways to play many Chelsea players in the same lineup that can sort of allow you to get combinations of players in sort of unique ways. So what I mean is that if you want to play, let's just say we want to play Raheem Sterling, Enzo Fernandez, and Ben Chilwell in the same lineup. If you captain one of those players, you're not going to be left with much salary. So let's just look at what happens if I put in where is Enzo Fernandez? So if I start with a captaining of Enzo Fernandez, then I do Chilwell, and then I do Jackson. So we want to play those three, the three cheapest of those options that I said. You're left with just under $6,000 salary per player remaining. So 5,700 per player remaining. You're just not going to get that many unique combinations that way, I think. These are players that project really well, but you're basically going to be circulating between the same scrubs as everyone else. You're going to be saying, do I get the random Luton Town center back who scores 6 points that ends up being the guy you need? That might be a really frustrating way to build. So I like to try to find ways to get really good combinations of good players in slightly more unique ways. So I think that's why cheaper captains are in play. I mean, if you played the showdown with Brighton and you captain Ryan Giles, you were probably thrilled. You were able to just jam all of the best Brighton players. And I think something like this could happen. Like if I want to play, I could captain Ryan Giles. That gives me a way to play Ben Chilwell, Nick Jackson, and Raheem Sterling in the same lineup. And I have about 4,900 per spot remaining after that. So I'm not going to be afraid to use Ryan Giles in a captain. So I'm going to tinker around and find what I like. But I do like that sort of lineup construction, this particular spot. When everyone is so expensive on Chelsea and everyone is going to be a target on Chelsea, I think maybe makes sense to say maybe not one specific Chelsea player scores more than 20 or 25 fantasy points, in which case you probably need them in the captain. If it's all equal, three different guys score a goal each, no one breaks the slate, then if Ryan Giles has a decent game, it might be your only way to fit all of those guys in the same lineup. So I think you should be willing to use a cheap captain for that type of situation. So some other guys I like that could be good for a cheap captain. So like I said, Giles. Um, you could captain Thiago Silva at 4,400. I noticed that if you captain Thiago Silva, you're able to play all of Sterling, Jackson, Enzo, and Chilwell. So that's the only way to achieve that combination. So there might be some merit just because you get to unlock those four players by doing that. Although I usually save the center back captaining for Adam. And I'm never really afraid to captain the goalkeeper in this situation. So you could even put Kaminsky in the captain spot and load up on Chelsea attackers. You don't really even need Luton Town to win in that sort of lineup. You just need them to rack up enough saves. It certainly helps if they win a little bit, but I've seen Jordan Pickford lineups win when Everton lose 2-0 to Manchester City because it just allowed you to get all the players that you need. And, Pickford ended up with 8 points just due to saves. So don't be afraid to get a little weird and consider lineups like that by captaining non-obvious players. So yeah, that's one tournament nugget. And I guess my other tournament nugget that I want to do before concluding the video and then apologizing to Adam for clicking the one in the wrong spot is the player I wanted to point out was Carlton Morris at 8K. And I think this qualifies as the so bad it's good type of price situation where, look, He's plus 330 to score a goal, so that's like less than 25%, between 20 and 25%, I think. But he's going to play 90 minutes and he's going to be the penalty taker. And probably 50 to 60% of the field is going to be piling onto the favorably priced Robert Sanchez. So I'm wondering, if Luton score a goal, I probably want them in my lineup. As long as Chelsea don't score 5. So maybe it's like a Chelsea 2-1 win or a Chelsea 3-1 win. I think you still might want that Luton Town goal. Like I said, I don't want to do this too much, but if you're thinking about the big GPP, how can you get unique? Paying 8,000 for Carlton Morris, taking penalties, and you have to ask, well, what am I sacrificing for playing Carlton Morris? Well, you probably want to play Enzo Fernandez, but someone like Ben Chilwell, when the game was going off script, he was subbed off early for Moises Caicedo. So they wanted to take one defender off and put 3 midfielders on the pitch. So maybe you don't pay 10.8K for Ben Chilwell because he's priced like he takes monopoly of set pieces. And if you speculate Carlton Morris scores, well, then he won't get that clean sheet bonus either. Maybe you don't play either of Raheem Sterling or Nicholas Jackson. Maybe just neither is able to score a goal, and a Chelsea substitute is the one who ends up scoring a goal. I think that there are ways to play an expensive penalty taker for Luton Town in larger GPPs that really don't sacrifice too much. Like when I do this against Manchester City, there's so many players that could just absolutely throttle you. And so I'm very reticent to do that. But with Chelsea, I think some of these guys from a DFS perspective, they can be frustrating. They can get subbed off early. There's no monopoly set piece taker. So those factors make me more likely to consider a Carlton Morris type. In a large GPP, I'll probably throw that with a ticket I have into the showdown of the week. So it's just one thing worth considering. The other options are all going to be quite cheap. You have Elijah Adebayo. He only played 60 minutes. He's kind of a trap play. I'd rather try to build lineups around Carlton Morris than Adebayo. Of course, if he scores a goal at 5,200, he is definitely going to be a piece that you want. So yeah, at first I had sticker shock. I thought I wouldn't be able to play Carlton Morris, but if you click around, I think you can make some pretty contrarian lineups that aren't absolutely terrible. And something like that's worth considering if you like to consider more gigabrain strategies. Jeff, thanks for being in the chat. If Luton scores a goal, does it make Sanchez unplayable? I think in cash games, I would still. I guess I don't really do that type of if-then thinking in cash games. I just think Sanchez is super likely to get that 5-point bonus. I feel like worst case scenario. I feel like the 20th percentile outcome, so quite bad, is that he scores 3 points at his price. And he has a lot of good outcomes as well, right? Half the time he's getting a clean sheet for 5 points, and probably, in the top 60% of the outcome, it's a win clean sheet for him. And that's going to see him have over at least 10 points in that case. So I think from cash, I still like Sanchez's range of outcomes. I don't think it could go that bad, although I did play Alisson last week and it was absolutely terrible. So maybe you can fade my goalkeeper recommendations. But if you play any forward, that's not like Ryan Giles, who's not really a forward, but if you play any Luton Town forward who you think is basically going to make value on scoring a goal, you absolutely can't play Sanchez because the type of thing that would happen is that, it's either a fluky goal, probably against the run of play. I just don't think Sanchez is going to be racking up enough saves that you can play like Carlton Morris and Sanchez in the same lineup. I don't think that really makes sense in this slate. And I think the reason why, basically the main reason to consider a Luton goal scoring lineup is because Sanchez is just going to be so popular. If Luton score a goal in the first half or second half, the 50 to 60%, maybe it's lower, 40%, a lot of Sanchez lineups are going to be wiped off the table. So just because of high goalkeeper utilization, that's the main reason I'd consider it. But yeah, I think that's a wrap. I mean, basically to summarize, we like Enzo captains. Those look pretty good. It helps you play Chilwell and a Chelsea goal scorer. I think you should prioritize getting Ryan Giles in because he was able to get a lot of work in even against a good team in Brighton. So I think 5, 6, 7 points. I think that's going to be pretty good at his price. And I like playing goalkeeper Robert Sanchez in cash games. So you can try to tinker around, make it work, see what you like. And then in GPPs, I like tinkering with some of the cheaper guys. I do like Ryan Giles captain in case he's able to get a good floor and I can get those Chelsea ceilings. And I will be considering lineups for Luton score a goal. In the big GPP, I think Carlton Morris is worth a squeeze if you're willing to fade some of the expensive Chelsea pieces. But yeah, about 25 minutes. I think that's a wrap. I hope you all join us tomorrow. So I think tomorrow we have Ryan, Adam, and Jordan. They're going to be breaking down what looks like a really fun four-game Premier League Classic slate. We'll have an article up for that, and we should have other good stuff. So, if you're not a member already, you can join us through the free trial. Join us in the Discord. A lot of good information there. But otherwise, give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend. Good luck tomorrow.